guys, today I have for you hopefully what will be the first of many book reviews. Today I will be reviewing Looking for Alaska, a young adult novel by John Green. We start with Miles Pudge Halter and how he wants to escape his uneventful, lonely life in Florida, and in order to escape this life and find his great perhaps, he decides to leave and go to a boarding school in another state. He meets and becomes friends with a group of 4 other children. His roommate, Chip the Colonel Martin. Then there's Alaska Young, me, and Laura. The book is from Pudge's point of view, and it follows Pudge and his group of friends throughout their time at this boarding school. I don't want to give too much away. Apparently a lot of people have been spoiled, and I'm not going to be one of those people who spoils it. One of the things that I really enjoyed about this book was the organization of it. It's split into 2 different parts. It's got the before and the after. And in the before section, it counts down a number of days until a certain event happens. And I know for me, this is one of the main things that kept me going. It kept me wanting to read and wanting to find out as much as the situation and the characters did. So I wanted to find out, what is this one thing that we're counting down to. So I thought that was really clever and a very interesting way of organizing the book. And now for the characters. Okay, so let me preface this by saying I have this thing with John Green characters. I haven't read all his books yet, but this is the second one I've read, and with both this one and An Abundance of Catherine's, I seem to have a problem connecting with his characters. I like them, I do, but I don't attach to them. Now this may be because I'm used to reading series, and I'm used to getting to know these characters and being with them for a longer period of time. But I don't know, maybe it's that, maybe it's not, I don't know, but I just have an issue with really connecting to John's characters. First we've got the main character and the narrator, Miles Pudge Halter. I really like Pudge, and I sympathize with him because, on some levels, because he's more of the geeky, kind of nerdy guy with very little friends, and I was like that at a certain point in my life, so I can sympathize with him. And I really enjoyed watching his development over the course of the book, and how and his interaction with other characters, and how each of the other characters changed him in ways, sometimes for the better, sometimes for worse. But it was really interesting to see his development. Then we have Chip the Colonel Martin. He is Pudge's roommate, and I thought he was an entertaining character, and interesting. There's some things that, well, I don't want to say annoyed me, because like I said, that connection for me just wasn't there to really be irritated and be annoyed with some of his quirks. But I know if it were real life and he actually existed and I knew him, that some of his quirks would irritate me. And then there's Alaska Young, who is the titular character. She's enigmatic, she's contradictory, she's moody and self-destructive, but at the same time, she can be absolutely brilliant at some point. A lot of this book centers around Pudge's interest in Alaska and him trying to figure her out, and how she interacts with and affects those around her. And last, we have 2 characters, Takumi and Laura. who they round out this group of friends in this novel. And I have to say that even though they aren't as developed as the other three characters in this book, I really thoroughly love these two. Takumi, he is just hilarious, and he was the character who had me laughing the most. He's just hysterical, and I could see myself getting along with him very well. And then Lara is just a cute, sweet, likable girl. She's quiet, but can be quite troublesome at times. One thing about these characters that I thought was really great was that they each had a thing. For instance, Pudge memorized last words of famous people. The Colonel memorized countries and their capitals and could recite them in alphabetical order. And Alaska constantly bought books from yard sales and built up what she called her life's life. Overall, I really enjoyed this book. It was both funny and serious. There are a lot of quotations in this book that definitely made me think, and a lot of the ideals and thoughts that were brought up I found myself agreeing with, especially the two main last quotes that are pretty much the core of this book, which is, overall, I really enjoyed this book. It was both funny and serious. There are a lot of quotations in this book that definitely made me think, and a lot of the ideals and thoughts that were brought up I found myself agreeing with, especially the two main last quotes that are pretty much the core of this book, which is the one that Pudge most, the one that leads Pudge on his journey, which is I go to seek the great perhaps, and one that Alaska brings up, which is something like, "Dear God, how will I ever escape this labyrinth?" And those two quotes and the thoughts they provoke and the ideas around them and the ideas about them that John brings up in his novel, I think are great. They're definitely very interesting and very good quotes to think about and to wonder about yourself and to try and figure out if you agree or disagree with the points that John brought up in the novel. The only downside for me, really, like I said, was that I didn't connect with the characters. While I liked and sympathized with them, I didn't actually feel for them or really care about them like I have in some other books with other characters. Again, this could be just me being used to being with characters for a longer amount of time than just a few days and over more than one book. But I seem to have an issue just really getting into the characters. But even though I didn't really fully connect with these characters, I was still engaged in the plot and what was happening to them and what was going on. So I did enjoy it. I would probably give this book about 3.6 maybe out of 5. I thought it was a really enjoyable book. It was engaging and thought-provoking and has fairly good rereadability for me. But again, this emotional disconnect I had with the characters sort of brought it down for me. However, despite that, I would recommend this to anyone who is interested in kind of more real life fiction books, although I myself mostly read fantasy. It is nice to kind of read these more real-life fiction books. So if you haven't read this already, I really suggest that you do, because it is a good book. It is interesting. It is very thought-provoking, and you can walk away knowing yourself just a little bit better if you do answer the questions that John brings up in his book. And John's writing is another major factor in why I love it. I love John's writing. It's witty and it's intelligent and it's just real. Next, I'm probably going to start reading the Secret Circle books, because I watched the premiere of the show and I really enjoyed it. So those are probably going to be the next 3 books I read, and then I might get back to Paper Towns after this, and then possibly Will Grayson after that. It's just a tentative book schedule, but I hope to do more of these, because I really think that doing book reviews will help me read more instead of being lazy like I usually am. So yeah, look forward to those, and I'll catch you guys later. Bye.